Hello, and welcome to the Cosmic Healing Podcast. This is our bonus monthly edition with our glorious, precious, dear Dana. And here we are at December, where we are about to look at the month ahead and see what energies are going to be at play for us. And here we are once again, these monthly uh meetups with you, Dana, like looking at you every month, and I'm just like, holy shit, how is it a new month already? And this one, especially the last month of the year, I it's really been something else. Hi, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me as always. Wow, I can't believe we are getting ready to close down the final month of the year. And, you and I talk all the time about how, January 1 is not necessarily the be all end all of like new beginnings and fresh starts, but there still does feel like there's some sort of collective closure energy coming up. So we can lean into that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a beautiful way to say that, like closure energy. Because I know right before we press record, I was just saying, like I feel like I personally am kind of over a hump. I've been very vulnerable and real about, all the challenges that this year has brought up, but all for the greater of good. Like I feel so just connected to myself and just like I feel like I have so much like respect. I know that sounds so, but I have like so much respect for myself for like going through these challenging times, knowing that on the other side is the peace that we all crave, And so that's what I'm so passionate about teaching is, like healing is fun because, even when you're in the thick of it, we know that on the other side of that is something glorious. And even if that hump is a year and a half, or, even if we have like a roller coaster, where there's highs and there are lows, because there will always be highs and lows. And so just learning to enjoy the ride and embrace not even accept, but embrace the ride, embrace the journey. I know that that is the ultimate goal for us to be able to learn how to be, because also looking at your 2025 year in advance, if you have not listened to that, please go back and listen, because it was really powerful and so confirming to everything I've been feeling and working through. And I feel like all of us feel a sense of urgency actually to do this healing work, to let go of the shit that is holding us back, so that we can be more embodied in this inner peace, in this faith, and just letting in more unconditional love, more inner peace. That is just really, we have to be able to have that within ourselves to navigate through the times that are a coming. Because again, just like with like, I feel like we're about to go through a major hump of world expansion, as Mother Earth is shifting and rising, as each one of us are shifting and rising. Things that we know are falling and dissolving and crumbling, and we are building a new world. And so, as we are in the middle of this, that it first and foremost ourselves. And I know that I feel it. I mean, it's like I can see it so clearly. I can like with myself and in the collective. I mean, we have so many amazing conversations with people that are feeling that same thing. And so again, we're not making this shit up. Like
Right.
this is a collective, energetic experience that we are all going through for a massive shift and change and up leveling as consciousness and being as we know it.
Absolutely. And I think that there can be fear around that, which is a totally normal thing because it's like, well, how is this going to come down? How is this all going to crash around us? What is that going to look like? What does that mean for me? And we just don't know. And that's why I think in part of that 2025 reading, the really important piece to me was that deep ocean card that I pulled, which is about finding your inner peace. Like to your point, like we can't control things that are happening outside of us. We can't have control things that are happening on a global scale. Like we just can't. And so the only thing you can do is find your own center, to take care of your own self, to take care of the people you love. And I really fully believe that 2025 is going to be the year of the light workers rising up. People are going to need us. And
Yeah.
whether you do this as like your job, whether you're a spiritual entrepreneur or not, it doesn't matter. Like if you're embodying your soul and you're working on evolving yourself and healing and growing, people are going to need you and your strong energy because we're all going to be called to do that. It's just that those of us who are doing this are a little bit ahead. So we're going to have to help those people.
Yeah.
So just be ready to kind of embody more of your soul, you know?
Yeah. Yes. And the ripple effect is just incredible. I mean, it really is so important that we understand, like you just said, it doesn't have to be a spiritual entrepreneur. You don't have to be making money, but your light and your energy alone is the ripple effect.
Mhm.
Um, I just have been with so many women lately. Like it's just so awe-inspiring to be with these women because there's so many that are in corporate and there's so many that are just, running households that are beginning to start companies or, that are just like doing the things that they don't even understand fully why they're doing it, but they're doing it. It's like that thing. And it doesn't, you don't have to put rhyme or reason to it. You just have to be like, all I know is I am dedicating truth to myself and
Mhm.
I'm letting that version of me shine. And that's all, like I say it all the time, like even with the grocery store, if you're at the grocery store, like let your light shine because I know for me personally, and I'm sure so many of you and yourself too, Dana, you can attest to that, right? Like I feel like when I'm just like letting my light shine and I'm not like bogged down by whatever, it's like people will stop me and say, "Oh my gosh, your smile," or "Oh my goodness, you look so pretty today. Thank you for, like sharing your energy." Like complete strangers.
Mhm.
And it's just like, "Oh my gosh." Or like somebody random on Instagram, will be like, "Oh, your messages mean so much." And so it's just like literally just sharing you. That's what the world needs. And if we all give ourselves permission to share ourselves without the fear as the underlying base, then oh my gosh, can you imagine how many light workers there? Well, like we would all be light working.
Exactly. And I think that's where we're going. And I think that this is the beginning of that, you know? And so it's so cool to be alive at this time of history in history to get to be a part of this. I
Yeah.
really it's an honor. We should all feel honored to be here.
Yes. Oh, I feel that so deeply. Beautiful.
Mhm.
Well, how has your November been?
My November has been super busy, lots of things going on, which I knew it would. Astrologically for myself, I knew that it would. I knew this was coming. So I was kind of prepared for it, but we were just talking about before we started recording that even though there's been a lot going on in my world, like personally and in my business and everything, I feel like I'm pretty centered and handling things pretty well. And I think that's because of all the work that I've done
Yeah.
to get myself there. And so it's just nice to see um evolution and progress, I guess,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
those busy seasons. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how
Yeah.
it was for me. How about you?
Yeah, very much the same, very busy. But I knew it was going to be busy, so I prepared for it and just coming out on the other side of this, just feeling really excited. I'm trying to think about all the cards from November that we pulled, and it did feel very spot on, like well, they always do, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely felt do you have them handy? Or is
Yep,
that what you're
pulling them
pulling?
up right now. Yep.
Yeah.
My brain, always forgets.
Well, girl, you pull a lot of cards.
I do pull a lot of cards, I do, and they run together in my brain. I can't lie.
I would imagine too. I don't pull a lot of cards and I don't even remember. I just remember like feeling, yes, this is right. This is right.
Okay, so they were the Chiron card, which we get all the time, I feel like.
Yes.
So Chiron healing and sand, which is about building things a little bit at a time, being consistent, not overwhelming yourself. And owl was about feeling your intuition in your physical body.
Oh
So
my gosh. Yes.
yeah,
Ah, it's all coming back to me now.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
And like just hearing you say that again, I can look back and with complete certainty
Hmm.
be like, yeah, yeah, that was every card because that Chiron, card for me, that is
Yeah.
putting myself out there without, the fear of rejection.
Yeah.
So I am definitely putting myself out there more and more and more, just letting more of myself shine and just not care. And I've had many people like say things like, wow, I see that you're something in you has shifted. And I'm like, okay, but it's those little sand, that's where the sand card is. It's all the little pieces that are like building up. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I think I'm like actually building the castle. I think I'm living in the sand castle now.
And I'm going to expand even bigger and make
Yes, I'm
a
going to put a
thing.
whole new wing on my sand castle
Yeah.
because we can. It can be as big as we want it to be,
As
right?
big as you want it to be.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I know. And the piece about like the Chiron stuff, I agree too. I think a lot of people listening probably have both of our placements, because Chiron placements are generational. So there's big groups of people who have it. So Vaughn's is in Aries. So that's about like embodying yourself, believing in yourself. And mine is in Gemini, which I think is actually kind of similar to the way we show up because Gemini is about speaking and communicating in an authentic way. And I feel like Aries and Gemini Chiron wounds are kind of similar because it takes some speaking to like stand up for yourself, to embody yourself in the Aries form. You know what I mean? Like they're very similar. So I feel that too this month that I've had to kind of work with that Chiron and Gemini thing of like speaking and communicating about myself for sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because with speaking, that really it all has to do with speaking truth to yourself first. Like, what
Right.
do I actually want and need?
Yeah.
How do I need to be supported? It's all about speaking truth to yourself before you can, it's not, we hear so much about speaking truth, but it's really not about other
And
people. It's
yeah.
within, it's yourself. And I feel like that's where a lot of people get really confused, especially when we're doing a lot of throat chakra work and it really has everything to do because your throat chakra and your heart are so connected. So it's like speaking your truth from your heart, but you got to know your heart first. You got to go deep within there to even know that version of yourself before you can share it with anyone else. So that's why the inner work is so important. And it really has nothing to do with, I mean, because I was just say like the throat chakra, and I wouldn't be surprised if something comes up in the cards about this, right? More
Oh,
about speaking our truth and because there's so many times people are like, well, I don't even know what I want. Like, right. Like I know for me, I really did not know what I wanted. And so I was not speaking what I wanted or needed. I'm thinking about in the very beginning, like I know I was holding so much back. And I'm thinking in particular to like my needs for my husband, like how I wanted and needed to be supported and how it's like I couldn't even communicate to him what I needed because I was so like unhealed that anything I wanted and needed was coming from like just a place of like lack and
yeah.
anger and resentment, and so it was just so coming out negative because I didn't even know what I needed.
Yep, totally. And for the people who are between you and me who have Chiron and Taurus, that is like the wound of worthiness, of knowing that you're
Mhm.
worthy of things. So there you
Yes.
go. There's a little mini
There's been a lot of that too with
yeah, a
the
lot of that.
it's so good. I just love how I just love healing and spirituality and the soul and I could just talk about it all day long.
It's so connected and it's just so confirming. And I fully believe like none of this is like predictive. It's just describing what exists. It's describing what exists. And the way that it manifests for each one of us is going to be totally different. So it's it's not predictive, it's prescriptive of like how to work with this energy. How do we
Mhm.
work with this stuff? You know,
Oh,
that's
I
what
love that.
astrology is. That's what cards are. That's what the Akashic records are. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
it is prescriptive.
Yeah. And you mentioning the Akashic records, I just want to touch on this really quick. I feel like so many of us are expanding spiritually, because we are doing the work. We are expanding spiritually. If you're listening to this podcast, like you are.
Yep.
So knowing that as your spirit and your energy is rising, that means that you are getting closer and closer to the realms of Akasha, which holds all of our soul's history and stories. And so as we rise in consciousness and as we reach these higher levels of spirituality, we're going to be having access to more and more information. So it's very normal for you to be receiving more information. And it can make you feel like you're going crazy, because it's like, oh my gosh, like I've got so much coming at me. I don't know what to do with all this. Like, oh, it just feels like a lot, like you're becoming more psychic, you're becoming more clairsentient, like all your clairs are coming more on board because you're rising higher, you're becoming more of a multidimensional person. And that means you have access to multi dimensions. And it's within those multi dimensions that we are expanding, that we have access to, the angelic realms, more of the Akashic records, more of our soul knowings, the ascended masters, so it's like we're expanding people. So you're not going crazy. All right. Like it may feel like a lot, and that's okay. But know that everything that you are experiencing is in divine orchestration and divine timing. Okay. I am speaking to you very clearly. It's all in divine timing. You will not release or receive anything that you are not ready for. So if you're receiving like new incredible messages and you're like, wait, what's going on? I don't understand. Just be like, it's because you're ready for it. You are ready to expand into that level of consciousness. So receive it.
Mm.
Because I know we're expanding and it's only getting started. And I know a lot of people are freaking out. Like I feel things in my body differently. I don't know what's happening. What do I do with all this? You take deep breaths.
Mhm.
You trust yourself, you trust your journey, you trust where you're at, and you just open up that sweet little heart of yours and that sweet little crown chakra of yours, and you just receive, 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 receive. And you say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for the blessings and the magic that is being poured upon me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Exactly right. It's beautiful. I love that reminder. So helpful.
Yeah, because we are. I know I am. I mean, I'm more in tune and like channeling and psychic abilities more than I've ever have been before. And when things are happening, I'm like, holy shit, I did not know that was
Yeah.
available to me. And so I have a choice, right? Like I could be freaked out or scared by it, or I could like sink deeper into it and be like, okay, this is super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the flip side, too, like sometimes the way it works for me is like things just come in through my thoughts. So it's not like this big, huge thing. But I look back later and I'm like, oh, that was like a total download. And I just brushed it off as just some little thought that I had. You know what I mean?
Oh
So it's
yeah.
like you start picking up like, oh wait, no, maybe there is something to this. This isn't just some random thought in my head, you know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because it's so easy to just like brush that off. Like, why would I be told that? Especially if it's like a big, bold, crazy idea or a really intuitive nudge or even a message about someone. It's like, why would I think that?
Yeah.
But
And it
yeah.
comes through your own thoughts. Like that, at least that's how it works for me. It sounds
Mhm.
like my own voice, my own thoughts, my own whatever. So it's not like there's this big booming external voice that's coming in and telling me to do something that I'm listening to, which is, I think it's set up this way so that we cultivate even deeper trust in ourselves because it's not this external thing. You have to listen to your own thoughts and trust that
Mm.
they're more than just your human brain,
Yep.
the truth. So,
Yeah. And that's where we get really tripped up because people are like,
yeah.
wait, is that my mind
Yep.
or is that spirit?
Yep.
And honestly, working with the Akashic Records, that was the first time that I was really able to tune into the frequency of like my mind chatter versus like spirit,
Mm,
and really connecting to that realm. It was so powerful for me. So play more and more in the Akashic Records. And in fact, I'll even put the prayer that I use if you want to pray, if you want to access the Akashic Records. What I've been told now is, and I'll go in the Facebook group, sorry, the Facebook group, and I'll share more about the Akashic Records in there. But what I've been told about them in the past, and at the beginning of this year, I hosted a Akashic Records course, and the message kept saying, "You don't need a prayer to access anymore. Like this is direct availability to you." But when you're just beginning to play
yeah.
in the realms of Akasha, I think it helps for
Oh,
you personally to like set that intention and be like, okay, I'm really doing this. But
yeah.
then you get so familiar. Like I'm in the Akashic Records all the time. Like I feel like I kind of live there now, and I don't even need the prayer to access it.
Yep. I
But
think a lot of things are expanding that way.
I'll
Mm,
definitely go in the group and talk more about that because that's really coming through a lot for me, particularly like right now in this conversation is the Akashic Record. So I want people to begin to feel comfortable accessing what is their soul records. It's yours. So feel comfortable. So I'll definitely go in the Facebook group and share about that.
sounds good. I love it. Well, should we see
Well,
what December has in store?
yes, let's see. I'm so ready. I'm excited.
Me too. All right. As long as you're not driving, I invite you to close your eyes. If you are driving, just follow along with us, taking a nice deep breath in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Just setting aside your to-do list, setting aside all the things that are pulling on your beautiful human heart and mind so that your soul can be present with us for this conversation. Feeling a golden light of protection cast around all of us throughout all time and space, creating a sacred portal, a coven, a community, a group, all protected within this beautiful light. Asking that any lower level energies, including thoughts, feelings, beliefs, or spirits, would be outside of this circle of golden light at this time. And we invite in all of our way showers, our guides, our angels, ascended masters, loved ones who have passed, and benevolent ancestors, ascended masters, any beings of the highest vibration, and with only our purest of intentions are welcomed into this space at this time. We come setting the intention to seek information about the energy of December 2024. And our intention is to seek so that we can flow and work with this energy rather than struggle or fight against it. We come not asking for predictions, but for prescriptive energy to help us understand and to work with, to know and illuminate the way forward. I also invoke now the power of holy fire Reiki to be infused throughout this entire episode, so that simply in hearing and receiving these words, each of us would feel and experience a gentle cleansing and clearing as this warm, holy fire moves throughout the layers of our body, mind, and soul, burning and gently releasing anything that no longer serves us. And in these spaces that have been made empty, I ask that the unconditional love from the highest source, from God, from our Creator, would come in and make us whole as we move into this new month of the year.
Mm.
We offer up our deepest gratitude at this time, and so it is.
Mm. That was really, really, really beautiful.
Thank you. Hmm. Just moving around the cards. I've already shuffled them really, really well. Okay. This is really interesting. So, those of you who are familiar with my deck, and I think pretty much everyone who listens is, because we've been using it for so long on this podcast for one thing, but you also may own it yourself. Um, we have three cards from all from the same section of my deck. So the deck is divided into north, south, east, and west. All three of these are from the same section, and these numbers actually go in order.
Oh, wow.
They're numbers 4, 5, and 6.
Oh my gosh. I just got big chills.
Yeah. They didn't come out in that order, so I'm going to read them in a different order, but it is numbers 4, 5, and 6.
Wow. Okay.
And so the east section of the deck is all about recognizing your divinity.
Mhm.
It's about seeing and experiencing the divine within you. And this is the first section of my deck. And when I channeled this deck, they were very intentional that recognizing your divinity had to come first in the order of spiritual awakening. Because if you don't believe that you're a divine being at your core, you're never going to walk the spiritual path. Like that has to be the first thing you begin to understand about yourself is that there's more than just what's in front of my eyes. There's more in this human experience than just the humanity. There's something else here. And so I just think that it's so amazing that these three cards all come from that place. So this entire month, December, really is about recognizing and witnessing your divinity.
Mm.
Now, the first card that came up we have is my leaf card. And the leaf card is something that it's descriptive of an experience we have when we are uncovering our divinity. We start going, well, what is it? What are my gifts? How do I figure them out? Where do I learn about them? Do I go to the Akashic records? Do I go to cards? Do I read astrology stuff? What do I do? How, where? And the leaf card comes in to say, stop focusing so much on the how, the when, and the details. Like, let yourself zoom out and just see the bigger picture. Follow the breadcrumbs, follow the things that feel exciting to you, and drop the rest. Drop the rest. Just because someone else does something a certain way doesn't mean that that's your path to enlightenment or to spirituality. So don't put so much focus on how or what. Just allow the excitement, the magnetism that comes in, allow that to draw you to where you need to go next. It's not about how or when this is all going to happen or when your gifts will blossom or how they are or what they are. It's just about following the breadcrumbs and trusting. So I love this card so much because it's like this reminder, like, don't focus in on this single leaf. Like, zoom out and look at the beautiful tree that's in front of you, right? Like, the bigger picture of all of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, divinity, that I mean, that I sometimes when I'm writing things, I'm like, how many more times could I say divine or divinity? Like, and I'm like, is it too much? Because
Yeah.
it's like I'm talking about divine feminine, your divinity, essence, divine essence. That I mean, it is like It is just so like in everything that I write and say, and it's like, is that too much? But I mean, it is the thing, right? Like we must. And I know for me personally that in the past year and a half, that's been the biggest shift for me is connecting to that divinity within and just really allowing more of my divine essence to be witnessed in remembrance that I am a holy human, right? Like that's literally when everything began to change for me.
Mm.
Is when I really allowed myself to see myself as divine, as holy. It's not outside of me. God is not outside of me.
Right.
And once I let that belief begin to crumble, which was very, very, very challenging on many levels with the religious trauma, with my own personal, like, arm's length distance of keeping God away, like all of that was so big for me to let those walls crumble down. And in that crumbling, I've been reborn again. I have been baptized anew. I have resurrected. I am, I understand the Holy Trinity now. Mother, Father, God, and me.
Yeah. And something else I want to add to this too is I think I shouldn't speak for everybody. I should speak for my own experience. When I first recognized that I had abilities that I was not using and I desperately wanted to know how to use them, I felt like obsessed with it. Like, how am I going to figure this out? How am I going to find out what my thing is? How do I feel that connection to Mother, Father, God, and myself? Like, how do I do that? And it wasn't until I just kind of like let go that it started coming in,
Yeah,
you know?
right. Oh,
And
that's
so that's what
so
I think this
good.
card is really about. It's like trying to figure it out with your human mind, trying to figure out your divinity with your human mind isn't going to work. You have to let
Right.
your divine self kind of come in.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen with force. It
Mm-mm.
comes when it's supposed to.
Yeah. And then allowing when it does come to you for you to trust it,
Yeah.
and to honor what, because I feel like where so many people get tripped up is, they're feeling things differently. They're feeling energy and emotion and other people's things, and that's when it can be really scary for people. And then they are like reject it, because it's like, oh, this is too much.
Mhm.
But again, like in the beginning of this conversation, you will not release or receive anything you're not ready for, so let it in, baby, because this is you coming on board to your gifts, to your magic, to your divinity.
Well, that was a perfect segue to the next card, Vaughn. So you just you start tapping up on the next energy already. The second card we have is the Golden Kite card.
Love that card.
I do too. And this one, at the end of the day, this one lets you know that this stuff is real. Like to me, whenever I pull this card in a reading for someone, it's like you're not making up those angel numbers. You're not making up these synchronicities. You're not making up the fact that this person said something to you or that you saw a cardinal or whatever. This card lets you know that, like, your guides, your loved ones, your angels, all those beings that I listed in the opening prayer, they're sending you messages, they're sending you things, and it is real and you are not making it up. And so this card truly is about trusting, and this card comes up when sometimes we need someone else outside of us to say, no, you're not crazy. You're not making this up, right? So that's exactly what this is. This is what Vaughn and I
Yeah,
are trying to tell you. This card is literally coming through to tell you that you are not making these things up. They are real. This is how it works. This is how it works. But you have to trust it because otherwise you can just dismiss it as a coincidence. I don't believe in
yeah,
coincidences, but you could dismiss it as being quote unquote nothing. And
yeah.
this part is telling you it's not nothing, it's real, and we need you to trust it and pay attention to it.
Yeah. Which brings us back to the first card because then people say, but what does it mean? What do
Right.
I do with this? And then they get caught up in the loop of card one and card two because it's like they
Yeah.
know it's there, but then what do I do with it? And it becomes like this cycle. And so that just makes me think of how you said that about the breadcrumbs and all the little puzzle pieces, like
It
you've
is.
never been this version of yourself before.
Mhm.
Right? So we're learning you don't know what it means because you've never been this version of yourself before. So we are exploring, we are opening up to new concepts. We are literally like opening up. I mean, if you can just imagine if you're watching on YouTube, you see me expanding over and over and over again. Like my hands are just like, your heart is opening, your mind, your consciousness, your everything is opening up. So you've never been this version of yourself. You've never received this level of stuff. You've never been this connected to spirit before. So trust, like you said, cultivate trust. This is what we've been doing actually over the past several years is we have been cultivating a deeper level of trust within our body and nervous system so
Mhm.
that we could be able to receive this next level of everything that we're going through because again, aliens, I don't know, maybe they're coming, maybe everybody's like aliens are coming in 2025. So we got to be open to receive whatever is going to be happening in our future that is beyond our current comprehension.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And I think following the breadcrumbs means like, if people want some more specific examples, right? Like it's feeling excited about something. It's feeling excited about taking an Akashic Records course or reading a book about the Akashic Records or finding a deck and being excited about that or just feeling like I need to go down this street today or I feel called to go to this restaurant. And it's like that excitement, that like pull, that magnetism, that's what's pulling you somewhere. And then you get there and you see something and you have this like thought like, oh, the name Athena is coming to me. I'm going to Google the goddess Athena. You Google it, you see that she's connected with owls, and then you go, oh my God, I saw an owl last night on the street. Oh my God. Like that's what it is. It's putting these
Yeah.
little things together that make no
Yes.
sense,
Right.
that make
Yeah.
no sense, but you just keep following it. Like,
Yeah. And then it makes perfect sense.
and then it makes sense.
And you're like, oh.
Oh, okay. All right, I get it.
And such is life, right? Like we do things, we don't understand why we're doing them, and then we can look back and be like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. But it's
exactly.
the trust.
It's the trust. It is the
Mm,
trust. That's the hardest piece. Um, that is the hardest piece because it's something that only you can do.
yeah.
No one else can do it for you.
Yeah. But that kite card
Yep.
is here to say, like, trust, let yourself be carried away,
Yeah,
like let yourself flow and be in the flow of spiritual guidance.
absolutely. And let yourself be connected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
the kite part is supposed to represent your guides, your angels, your divine team, and you are always connected by
Mm,
the rope, the cord, the string, whatever that connects the kite to you, you are always connected to them. They're not going anywhere. They're always with you. And so these
mm,
things that you're experiencing, they're not made up because it's literally your lifeline. It's your birthright to receive this information and to connect with your divine team. They're going to be with you forever. They're not going away.
so beautiful. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. And then the final card is one of my favorites. It is the chosen artwork for the front of my deck. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it behind me. This is, see, there,
Yeah,
well,
yes, yes.
anyway. Yes. So this one I'm going to read to you.
I love that card. Yeah.
Me too. This one is reminding you that you are a bridge between worlds. If I can find it, here it is. Okay. At the moment of transition between morning and night, a beautiful star glimmers above the horizon. Often called the morning star, this celestial body isn't actually a star at all, it's the planet Venus. Regardless of the name, the morning star is a bridge between the spirit realm and the earth plane. It shines brightly in the time between dark and light. This card offers the reminder that you are also a bridge between two worlds. You are simultaneously eternal stardust and a human experiencing a finite amount of time on this planet. You are here to honor the part of you that is divine while also experiencing all that it means to be a human. This causes quite a bit of tug and pull between multiple aspects of who you are. Sometimes you might be enveloped into the human experience and caught up in the trappings of life on earth. In other words, you might let your spiritual practices or faith dwindle because of the pressure to focus on daily tasks, work, relationships, etc. Other times, you might want to only spend time following your spiritual pursuits and pulling away from worldly activities. You might prefer to hermit away from others and to be with the divine through meditation, time in nature, or other spiritual practices. Give yourself permission to be wherever you are at this moment. Lean into the human experience when you need to, and sink into your divine essence when that feels relevant. Remember that you are all at once, the entirety of the cosmos, and the details on a blade of grass wrapped into one incredible being. No matter what you're experiencing, you are not just enough, you are everything. And the reminder is you are a magical bridge between heaven and earth.
Mm. I remember last November for the November energy report in 2023, you pulled that card. And I had the homecoming retreat in Asheville, North Carolina.
Mhm.
And I oversold that retreat. And I remember I was sleeping on the couch. And I woke up the first morning of the retreat, and there was that North Star card in the sky. And I was just like, ah, and I just was in such sweet gratitude of, I just was like so overcome with emotion that you had pulled that card. And then here I am at this sold out, oversold out retreat. And just, I was just like, wow, it's so real. It's so true. Everything that you just read is is just so true. Like that is the I don't know. I feel like that card right there just sums up
Mhm.
life, you know?
Yeah, it does. It sums up what it means to be a human on Earth, to be this divine being that is down here because you are part of two worlds.
Yeah.
And you do have the roles and the responsibilities and the tasks of being a human and being a mother and working and whatever else. But like there's also a part of you that is so inherently divine and needs cultivation as well. And so it's just about finding both and being
Yeah.
both when you can.
Yeah. I know in last week's podcast, I had mentioned how I go through these stages where my spiritual practice is really game on, and I'm like in it. But then my physical practice, like working out and taking care of myself in that way usually takes a back burner. And then vice versa. It's like I never can just get them both right because of time, right? Like my morning practice is either going to be spiritual or physical.
Mhm.
And I just have got to get over the concept of time, of like I have my morning practice time. Although I am very fluid with my spiritual practices throughout the day, but it's been too easy for me to dedicate all of my time to my spiritual practice because my physical vessel is like knocking at my door and be like, "Hello, this is where your spirit exists," so I know that that is, yeah. So I love it that you pulled this card for the month of December because that's really my biggest thing that I'm working with moving forward, is really allowing both of my physical, energetic, spiritual, emotional bodies to be strong. Like I get to be all of it. I don't have to be, like I don't have to give up one thing for the other. Like I get to be it all. And this work that we're doing, this inner work is very time consuming, and it does take dedication and practice. Um, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. I feel like this is probably the next level of my spiritual growth is like really, really, really allowing myself to have that deeper connection to my physical and spiritual bodies.
Mhm. I have a couple things to say on this. I think, first of all, there are definitely seasons that we go through where we either have to dedicate more of our time to our human self or
Mhm.
we have to dedicate more of our time to our spiritual self. And I think our society and our culture has taught us to feel bad about that if we drop
Mhm.
the ball in one area of our life.
Yeah.
And I just want to speak up for everyone and say, like, there's a season where you have let your meditation practice slip. Like, it's okay. You can always get it back. Or
Yeah.
like, if there's a time where you stop working out, but you're meditating all the time, it's okay. You can get
Yeah.
that back. And like,
Yeah.
and also something that I love to do in this to kind of like help myself feel like I'm dabbling in both things is I like to overlay spiritual stuff over top of my human things. So like combining those things. So making washing the dishes like a meditative practice, right? Like you don't need to be sitting on your meditation cushion with incense and music and have it be perfect in order to be spiritual. Like I can take my shower and dedicate that time to feeling the water and cleansing my energy and whatever. Like So you could even get on an exercise bike and see this as a spiritual experience and like moving through those heavy, hard hills, seeing this as like your dedication, your drive to the divine. Like you can lay spirituality over top of anything. So I just want to offer that too.
Yeah. And that is so true. And I do feel like that is typically how, like how I like to do things, right? Because whatever. But also, what I love what you said at the very beginning of that was there's that seasons, like this season, like this past summer, I all I wanted to do was meditate literally all summer, like to be so deeply connected to myself and my spirit. And so at the same time, like, but my meditation was me going out and playing in the pool, was going out, and I usually have some shoulder issues, and I was swimming and playing so much this summer as I was like connecting spiritually, that my shoulders stopped hurting, because I was moving my shoulder in the water. And so I know that it's physical things like that as well. And I will say I'm 51 years old, so I've got that going against, so I'm navigating through menopause, my hormones. Do I do hormone replacement therapy? Like how much, like, so it's interesting. And I know a lot of my listeners are also in all age ranges and are also going through the same challenges that I'm going through as far as like menopause, because I've never been menopausal before. I've never had like no testosterone in my body before to make me feel motivated to work out. So it's almost been easier for me, I'll just meditate. I'll just like, and so it's been really interesting, like observing my thoughts and my mind as I am exploring this new version of myself, that is a very, very, very dedicated spiritual being, that really wants to pull spirituality into everything that I do. And at the same time, maintain like the humanness of me, right? And so it's an interesting time for me. And again, I just want to come back to the word exploring, because I don't know this version of me, but I've never been a 51-year-old.
Mhm.
I love my body and I love myself, but also I'm like watching myself change so much in
Mhm.
the past year. Like the way I looked going into my 50th year last summer, when I went from 49 to 50, and this year when I went from 50 to 51, it is a drastic change. Like how my physical body is, like the way that I look, like my face, my skin, my texture, my muscle tone, all that is just changing so quickly and drastically that it's like, oh God, wait, 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 wait. So is this the way that it's going to be moving this life? And so understanding that I am at a transitional phase in my life, and giving myself full permission to explore what that looks like
Mhm.
and what I'm okay with and what I'm not okay with, is just really important right now. I mean, it's like like that is my thing right now, right? Because I'm like, okay, because I'm like, and this is the way it's going. What will 52 look like? What will 53 look like? Oh my God, like what will 62 look like?
Mhm.
And I just want to make sure that I'm being smart and that I'm taking care of myself on all realms, because I want to be here for a really long time. And it's like something's clicking within me now that there's just something that happens about 50, like your body just definitely shifts. And so I realized like, oh gosh, I'm not as strong as I used to be. Like I've got to take better care of myself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that you say that because I think like what this Morningstar card means, like the way you show up as a human, the way you show up in your divinity, it's going to change over the course of your life. And so what maybe worked 5, 10 years ago is not going to work now, is not going to work in 5 years, and letting it change, like letting it be something different exploring with it, playing with it, trying something new. If it doesn't feel good or work, then fine, move on.
Right.
But like,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
trying things out and letting this shift and not holding yourself to such a tight standard of like, well, this is how I've always done it. This is how it works for
Right.
me in the past. That may not work anymore right now.
Yes, yeah, that's so perfectly said. Exactly, because that's definitely where I'm at. Like, I did Orange Theory for years and I loved it, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't love it anymore, and I quit it. But I also didn't replace it with anything else,
Yeah.
to like maintain. And so it's just like, well, but what is it? But the only way I could sit here in meditation, and it ain't gonna. I don't think it's gonna come to me in meditation. I think that it's like, well,
If you
why don't you go
try.
try more
Mhm.
Pilates? Why don't you try like yoga? Why don't you try a more aggressive walk at the park? Like, I don't know, just do something, girl.
You don't know if you like it till you try it, kind of a
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So there's that. But wow, those cards are so beautiful, so so beautiful. I am obsessed actually with all of that.
Yeah, and I think there's something to this, like the fact that it's like 4, 5, and 6. Like it's almost like these are the steps or something. Like this is the order that you can go
Mm.
in and you can make your own order, but like there is an order here or something. It's like, I don't know, that there feels like something to that. What do you think?
Yeah. So do you think it's like the order of the way that you pulled them, or the order of like what is the order of the cards themselves?
The order is 5, 4, 6. So leaf, golden kite, morning star. And so I think there is something to that. I think that order is important outside of the number order. I think it's like the leaf card is like stop focusing on the how, the when, the why. The golden kite is like the next step is like leaning into the trust, putting together the messaging, right? And then the morning star card is okay, how do I live in both worlds? And how does that feel good for me?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. That's so perfect. What a
Hmm.
perfect. Yeah, I mean that's it.
Yeah,
That is it exactly.
yeah. I just love it. And I love that they're all from the same section. It's
I
just so cool. I
know.
love
I
when that
know.
happens.
I know. And I love it also because, at the beginning of the conversation talking about the Akashic records and I just feel like so many people are opening up to those higher levels of spirituality. And so many people will message me and just be like, "Oh my gosh, the angel numbers are insane right now. The synchronicities are insane right now." And so there's so much is brewing for us as a collective. So if you are receiving just like angel numbers in abundance and just so many signs and confirmations, take it, baby. Take it. Don't I then but then I just hear as soon as you take it, you'd be like, but what does it mean? Just be
We don't
like,
know.
shut up. Just receive it. Just be like, it's just your angels knocking on your door, being like, we're here. You're doing it. Congratulations. We're proud of you.
Don't worry about how, don't worry about when.
Yeah.
Just take the breadcrumbs, just take the puzzle pieces, put them together, say, wow, that's amazing, and keep going. That's
Yes.
it. You know, keep going.
Yes. Perfect. 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 Well, Dana, thank you so much for your time today and for this conversation. And these cards just feel so beautiful and very divinely orchestrated for us going into the end of this year of 2023. I mean, 2024. Like, what? It has just been crazy. And everything that you shared with us about 2025, it's just going to be really interesting. And I'm so grateful that we're not going anywhere. Like so many people are, ask me, do you enjoy doing the podcast? Like, do you, they want to get my opinion. And it's like, I absolutely adore doing this podcast. Like for now, I like really, really enjoy it and it serves me well personally, even if, like I don't even have any listeners, like even if that, like I still would keep doing it just because it serves me so well. And so I'm excited to continue this conversation through the next year and just because we are building such a strong community and it's literally like timelines that we are working through.
Mhm.
And just it's like I feel like what we're doing, even if it's just for me and you, is we are providing proof of the evolution that is happening for us all.
Absolutely. We are. We
We
are.
are.
We're tracking it in real time.
Yes. Yeah.
We're tracking the collective energy and I love it. Um, so yeah, don't shy away from your divinity this month. Really recognize it, really claim it, feel it, see it, work on embodying it, play with it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thank you everyone for listening and happy holidays. I hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving and Christmas season and that you allow yourself to be present and with your divinity and that you can see that divinity within yourself and with everyone that you meet and come across and in every conversation that you have. And yeah, I'm just really grateful and happy December. We'll talk to you soon.